The judgment, the verdict that changed everything. Crystalline walls of the Cosmic Federation's Grand Tribunal reflected Ambassador Diana Cross like a broken mirror, fragmenting her image into 1,000 worried faces. She stood at the center of the vast chamber, her dark blue diplomatic uniform, a stark contrast against the shimmering alien architecture that surrounded her. Above her, floating in perfect geometric formation, sat the 12 high judges of the Federation representatives of the galaxy's most civilized species. Diana's hands remained steady at her sides, though her heart hammered against her ribs. Behind her, Captain Torres shifted his weight, the only sign of his nervousness. Dr. Sarakim, Earth's chief xenobiologist, clutched her data pad so tightly her knuckles had turned white. They had come here with hope, carrying humanity's application for full Federation membership. What they received instead would echo through the stars for generations. High Chancellor Vextar, a towering figure whose translucent blue skin pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, rose from his floating throne. His voice carried the weight of ancient authority as it filled the chamber through universal translators. Species designation: human. Planet of origin: Sol 3, commonly known as Earth. After extensive deliberation spanning 4 solar cycles, this tribunal has reached its verdict. The chamber fell silent, except for the soft hum of antigrav generators. Diana felt the eyes of countless beings upon her, not just the judges, but observers from dozens of Federation worlds who had gathered to witness this historic moment. She had expected ceremony, perhaps some bureaucratic delays, but the cold formality in Vextar's tone sent ice through her veins. The Cosmic Federation hereby declares humanity unsuitable for membership, civilization status, or peaceful coexistence with established galactic society. The words hit like physical blows. Diana's carefully maintained diplomatic composure cracked slightly, her eyes widening in shock that the charges against humanity. Vextar continued, his bioluminescent patterns shifting to deeper blues and purples colors. Diana had learned indicated displeasure and finality. The evidence against your species is overwhelming. Your historical records show an unprecedented level of violence and conflict. In your brief span of recorded civilization, you have engaged in over 14,000 wars. You have developed weapons capable of destroying your own planet multiple times over. Dr. Kim stepped forward, her scientific training overriding protocol. With respect, Chancellor, those conflicts occurred during our developmental phase. We've had global peace for over 2 centuries. Now, our space exploration has been entirely peaceful, and we've established positive relations with 17 non-Federation species. The Alterian Judge, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline shell, pulsed with what Diana recognized as amusement. Peaceful? Your explorers carry enough firepower to level a city. Your merchant vessels are equipped with military-grade shields and weapons. Even your scientific research ships bristle with defensive systems. Captain Torres couldn't contain himself because space is dangerous. We've encountered pirates, hostile automated systems, and territorial species. We prepare for threats, but we don't start fights. Precisely the problem, Vextar replied. Your species exhibits what our psychologists term chaotic creativity. You find solutions to problems that shouldn't exist. You weaponize concepts that other species use for peaceful purposes. Your literature celebrates conflict. Your entertainment glorifies violence. And your heroes are inevitably warriors or rebels. Diana found her voice again, drawing on years of diplomatic training. Our creativity has also brought incredible art, scientific breakthroughs, and innovations that could benefit all galactic civilization. Yes, we've had conflicts, but we've also shown remarkable capacity for growth, cooperation, and compassion. The point of no return Zephyrian representative A graceful humanoid with silver skin and large, dark eyes spoke for the first time. Ambassador Cross, your species. Unpredictability is precisely what makes you dangerous. 3 days ago, when our security protocols detected unauthorized signals from your diplomatic vessel, do you know what your Captain Torres did? Torres straightened, meeting the alien's gaze. I activated defensive systems and prepared for potential threats while attempting to identify the source of the interference. You prepared for war, the Zephyrine corrected. Within 2.7 seconds, your ship was ready for combat. A civilized species would have filed a formal inquiry with station security. This reflexive aggression, this assumption that conflict is always possible, demonstrates why your species cannot coexist with peaceful civilizations. Diana felt the situation slipping away from her. That's not aggression. That's caution born from experience. We've learned that being prepared prevents conflicts rather than causing them. Your very concept of being prepared revolves around violence, Vextar said. We have reviewed your cultural exports, your movies, books, games. They celebrate individuals who solve problems through force, who rebel against authority, who refuse to accept the established order. Your heroes are inevitably those who break rules, challenge systems, and resort to violence when diplomacy fails. Dr. Kim stepped forward again, her voice passionate. Because sometimes the established order is wrong. Sometimes authority becomes corrupt. Sometimes rules exist to oppress rather than protect. Our stories celebrate those who stand up for what's right, even when it's difficult. The chamber erupted in disturbed murmurs and clicking sounds from various alien observers. Vextar's bioluminescent patterns flared bright red, a color Diana had never seen from him before. And there, he said, his voice cutting through the noise, is the fundamental incompatibility. Your species believes in the righteousness of rebellion, in the validity of individual judgment over collective wisdom, in the necessity of conflict to achieve progress. These beliefs are antithetical to galactic civilization. The ultimatum Vextar gestured, and a holographic document appeared before Diana, its text scrolling in multiple languages, including English. By unanimous decision of this tribunal, humanity is hereby banned from Federation space. You have 90 standard days to withdraw all human presence from Federation territory. Any human vessels found in Federation space after this deadline will be considered hostile and dealt with accordingly. Diana stared at the document, the words seeming to blur before her eyes. This wasn't just rejection. It was exile from the galactic community before they'd even truly joined it. Chancellor, please reconsider. Humanity has so much to offer. Humanity has much to offer, Vextar agreed, but not to us. Your species represents chaos in a galaxy that has achieved order through millennia of careful cultivation. We will not allow that chaos to spread. The crystalline collective's representative, a being of living mineral that communicated through harmonic vibrations, added its voice to the proceedings. We have identified 17 other species with similar, problematic tendencies. They, too, have been denied Federation membership. Perhaps you will find common ground with your fellow outcasts. Diana's diplomatic mask finally cracked completely. Fellow outcasts? You're creating a class of galactic untouchables based on fear of anything that doesn't fit your narrow definition of civilization. We are preserving the peace and prosperity that the Federation has enjoyed for 2,000 years, Vextar replied. Your species will find its own path separately from ours. The journey home, the trip back to Earth aboard the diplomatic vessel New Horizons, stretched across 3 weeks of hyperspace travel. Diana spent most of that time in her quarters, composing and recomposing her report to the Earth government. How do you tell an entire species that they've been judged unworthy of galactic civilization? Captain Torres knocked on her door on the 15th day. She opened it to find him holding 2 cups of coffee, real Earth coffee, not the synthesized. alternatives they'd been offered on Federation worlds. "Thought you might need this," he said, settling into the chair across from her desk. "How's the report coming?" Diana gestured at her screen, filled with draft after draft. "How do you sum up the end of humanity's galactic ambitions in a few paragraphs?" Torres sipped his coffee thoughtfully. "Maybe we're looking at this wrong. They didn't end our ambitions. They just told us we can't join their club. It's the only club in the galaxy, Torres. Without Federation membership, we're locked out of the major trade routes, the knowledge exchanges, the mutual defense pacts. We're alone. Are we, though?" Torres pulled up a star chart on his tablet. They mentioned 17 other species like us. Species they consider too dangerous or unpredictable for their perfect little civilization. Diana looked up from her screen. "For the first time in hours. You think we should try to contact them?" "I think we should remember who we are," Torres said. "Humans have never been good at accepting no for an answer. We've been told we can't fly, can't explore the deep ocean, can't leave our planet, can't survive in space. Each time, we prove them wrong by doing it anyway." The Phoenix Protocol Diana's report to Earth was broadcast globally 3 days after their return. President Elena Jackson stood before the United Earth Assembly, reading Diana's account to a hushed chamber. When she finished, the silence stretched for nearly a minute before the questions began. Asterisk. "What are our options for appeal?" asked the representative from the African Union. "There are none," Diana replied from her seat in the witness section. "The Federation's decision is final." "What about trade relationships with individual Federation?" "Species?" pressed the European delegate. "Forbiddens. Federation law prohibits member species from conducting separate agreements with banned civilizations." The questions continued for hours, but gradually a new tone emerged from the discussion. It wasn't defeat, it was defiance. President Jackson called for an emergency session of the Earth Security Council that evening. Diana found herself sitting at a table with the planet's top military, scientific, and political leaders as Jackson outlined what she called the Phoenix Protocol. "If we can't join their civilization," Jackson said, "we'll build our own. Diana, you mentioned 17 other species in our situation. I want contact established with every one of them within 6 months." Admiral Chun, head of the Earth Space Navy, leaned forward. "Madam President, we're talking about species the Federation considers dangerous. Some of them might actually be hostile to humanity. And some of them might be exactly what we need," Jackson replied. "The Federation fears us because we're unpredictable, creative, and willing to fight for what we believe in. Maybe those aren't flaws, maybe. They're exactly the qualities needed to build something better than what the Federation offers." Dr. Kim nodded slowly. "The Kithara were mentioned specifically in the Federation files, a warrior culture that was rejected for being too militaristic. The Velonians are energy beings who were deemed too alien in their thought processes. The Drakmari were rejected for their excessive individualism. All traits that might complement human capabilities," Diana mused. "The Federation wants conformity, but what if diversity is actually strength?" First contact with the outcasts, the first expedition, launched 3 months later. Diana, now holding the title of Special Ambassador for Non-Federation Relations, led a small fleet to the Kithara home system. The insectoid warriors had been monitoring Federation communications and were expecting them. The Kithara Supreme Commander, a towering creature with 6 arms and compound eyes that reflected like black diamonds, greeted Diana in the docking bay. "Of their flagship? So, the Federation has created another outcast. Welcome to the ranks of the unworthy human." Diana extended her hand in the human gesture of greeting, knowing the Kithara had studied human customs. "Commander Zixtal, we come seeking alliance, not just between our species, but between all those the Federation has cast aside." Zixtal's mandibles clicked in what Diana had learned was amusement. You speak of alliance with creatures you've never met, in opposition to a power that spans half the galaxy. Your species truly is as unpredictable as they claimed. And predictable enough to make this work, Diana replied. The Federation fears chaos, but chaos is just another word for potential. Together, we might represent something they never considered. Civilization built on diversity rather than conformity. The negotiations took weeks, but gradually, something unprecedented began to take shape. The Kithara brought military expertise and tactical thinking that complemented human strategic creativity. When they made contact with the Valonians, the energy beings' quantum manipulation abilities opened technological possibilities that neither humans nor Kithara had imagined. Each new species added their strengths to the growing alliance. The Drakmari contributed advanced manufacturing techniques. The Zeridians brought their mastery of biotechnology, and the Nomad fleets offered their unparalleled knowledge of deep space navigation. The end of the first year. What would become known as the Phoenix Union controlled trade routes through 7 star systems and had established research stations that were producing innovations the Federation couldn't match. The die is cast. Diana stood on the observation deck of humanity's new flagship, Defiant Hope, watching construction robots put the finishing touches on the Phoenix Union's first joint military vessel. Representatives from 12 different species worked together on the project, their diverse approaches to engineering creating something entirely new. Captain Torres joined her at the viewport. Think they're watching us yet? Oh, they're watching, Diana replied. The question is whether they see us as a threat or an opportunity they missed. Maybe both, Torres suggested. Maybe that's exactly what we need to be. As if summoned by their conversation, Diana's communicator chimed with an urgent message from Earth. The Federation had just issued a formal statement, declaring the Phoenix Union a destabilizing influence and warning all civilized species to avoid contact with its members. Diana smiled, expression that would have seemed predatory to most Federation species, but which her human companions recognized as determination. Torres, send a message to all Union members. It's time to show the galaxy what the unworthy can accomplish when they work together. The Phoenix Union was no longer just an alliance of outcasts. It was becoming something the Federation had never encountered, a civilization that embraced the very qualities they feared most. And in 2 years' time, that difference would save the galaxy itself. Rise of the Phoenix Union 2 years. Later, a new power emerges. Admiral Diana Cross stood on the command bridge of the Defiant Hope, her Admiral's stars gleaming against the midnight blue of her Phoenix Union uniform. The massive viewport before her revealed a sight that would have been impossible just 2 years ago. A fleet of over 300 vessels from 12 different species, their diverse designs creating a tapestry of technological innovation that no single civilization could have achieved alone. The transformation had been remarkable. Where once she had been Ambassador Cross, pleading for humanity's acceptance into the Cosmic Federation, she now commanded the largest independent alliance in known space. The Phoenix Union controlled 23 star systems, operated the galaxy's most advanced research facilities, and had established trade relationships that bypassed Federation space entirely. Commander Zixtel, the Kithara warrior who had become her chief tactical officer, approached with his characteristic 6-armed stride. His compound eyes reflected the bridge's soft lighting as he delivered his report. Admiral, long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures from the Vega sector. The readings match Federation emergency protocols. Diana turned from the viewport, her expression immediately shifting to alert concern. How massive are we talking, Commander? Planetary scale, Admiral. Multiple worlds showing signs of ... consumption. Zixtal's mandibles clicked nervously, a reaction Diana had rarely seen from the normally unflappable warrior. The energy patterns are unlike anything in our databases. Before Diana could respond, the bridge's communication array activated with an urgent signal. The holographic projector flickered to life, revealing a figure Diana recognized but hadn't. Seen in 2 years, High Chancellor, Vextar of the Cosmic Federation. The desperate plea Vextar, as usually perfect composure, was cracked. His bioluminescent patterns flickered erratically between colors. Diana had never seen signs of distress, so severe they transcended species barriers. Behind him, the normally pristine Federation Council chamber showed signs of hasty evacuation and emergency protocols. Admiral Cross, Vextar began, his voice carrying a tremor that spoke of desperation. I am authorized by the full council to request immediate assistance from the Phoenix Union. Diana crossed her arms, studying the alien leader who had vanished. Humanity from galactic civilization. That's an interesting change in perspective, Chancellor. Last time we spoke, you declared us too dangerous for civilized company. The situation has evolved, Vextar admitted. 3 days ago, long-range monitoring stations detected massive energy signatures emerging from dark space beyond the galactic rim. Ancient automated systems that have been dormant for millennia have awakened. We have designated them the Harvesters. Dr. Sarah Kim, now the Union's chief science officer, stepped forward. Her hair had gained silver streaks during the intense research years, but her eyes remained sharp with scientific curiosity. Harvesters? What exactly are they harvesting? Everything, Vextar replied simply. Planets, stars, entire solar systems. They convert matter directly into energy using technologies we cannot comprehend. In 72 hours, they have consumed 3 Federation worlds and are moving toward our core systems. Diana exchanged glances with her senior staff. Captain Torres, now commanding the Union's Rapid Response Fleet, raised an eyebrow. And your mighty Federation fleet? Vextar's patterns dimmed to barely visible glows. Our defensive systems are inadequate. Federation military doctrine has focused on peacekeeping and crowd control for over a millennium. We lack the tactical flexibility and creative thinking necessary to combat an enemy that operates outside all known parameters. The irony wasn't lost on anyone present. The Federation had rejected humanity and its allies precisely because of their unpredictable, aggressive nature, and now they needed exactly those qualities to survive. The Phoenix Union's response, Diana called for an immediate council session. Within hours, representatives from all 12 Union species had gathered. In the conference chamber aboard Defiant Hope, the discussion was heated but brief. Velonian Prime, the energy being who spoke for their collective consciousness, pulsed with rapid frequency patterns that the universal translator converted to urgent speech. The Harvesters represent an existential threat to all organic life. Federation politics become irrelevant when facing extinction. Commander Thrix of the Drakmari, a species of humanoid engineers with metallic skin, clanked his mechanical fingers against the table. Our manufacturing capabilities are already at maximum capacity. We could triple our fleet size within days if we had access to Federation raw materials. The debate continued for 3 hours, but Diana could see the consensus forming. Despite their exile, despite the Federation's rejection, the Union members were ready to defend the galaxy that had cast them out. Diana called for a formal vote. All in favor of mobilizing Union forces to combat the Harvester threat? 12. Hands, claws, energy signatures, and mechanical appendages rose in unanimous agreement. Motion carried, Diana announced. Commander Zixtal, signal all Union fleets. We go to war. The Harvester threat, the enemy arrived at the Altair system, while the Union fleet was still mobilizing. Diana watched from the command bridge as the Harvesters revealed themselves in all their terrifying glory. They weren't ships in any conventional sense. They were massive geometric structures, each one larger than a moon, that seemed to bend. Space around themselves. Dr. Kim's voice was hushed with scientific awe and terror. Admiral, these things are operating on principles we barely understand. They're not just consuming matter, they're unraveling the fundamental forces that hold atoms together. The Federation fleet, commanded by Admiral Valix, engaged the harvesters using standard tactical formations. Diana watched in horror as the alien constructs simply absorbed the energy from Federation weapons, converting the attacks into fuel for their own systems. "This is Admiral Valix to all Federation vessels," came the transmission. "Standard tactics are ineffective. All ships fall back to defensive positions and await new orders." Diana opened a channel to the Federation flagship. "Admiral Valix, this is Admiral Cross of the Phoenix Union. Our forces are 30 minutes out. Can you hold position? Admiral Cross?" Valix's surprise was evident even through the universal translator. Yes, we can maintain position. But I must warn you, conventional weapons are useless against these entities." "Good thing we don't believe in conventional anything," Diana replied. "The unconventional solution, the Phoenix Union fleet dropped out of hyperspace in a formation that would have horrified Federation tacticians. Instead of the neat, orderly lines preferred by civilized military doctrine, the Union ships scattered across 3 dimensions, each species group operating according to their own tactical doctrines while maintaining communication through the quantum network developed by the Valonians. Commander Zixtal coordinated the Cathara assault squadrons, their ships diving and weaving through space in patterns that mimicked the hunting behaviors of their homeworlds. Apex predators, the Drakmari, deployed their industrial platforms, massive vessels that could manufacture weapons and equipment in real time. The nomad fleets, masters of unconventional navigation, began mapping the space-time distortions around the harvesters. But it was Dr. Kim who made the crucial observation. "Admiral, the harvesters aren't just consuming matter, they're consuming information. Every planet they destroy, every ship they absorb, they're learning from it. They're becoming smarter, more efficient." Diana studied the tactical display, watching the geometric patterns of the harvester movements. "What if we fed them the wrong information?" "Admiral?" Dr. Kim looked puzzled. "These things learn from what they consume, right? What if we gave them something that would make them less effective instead of more?" The solution was uniquely human in its audacity and uniquely Union in its execution. Working together, the 12 species created what they called information viruses complex, data patterns that would confuse and misdirect the harvesters' learning algorithms. The Valonians crafted quantum equations that appeared valid but led to impossible conclusions. The crystalline collective contributed mathematical proofs that seemed logical but created recursive loops. Humans provided the most crucial element, fictional scenarios so compelling and internally consistent that the harvesters would mistake them for reality. The Battle of Altair, attack began with the Cathara assault squadrons drawing the harvesters. Attention while the Drakmari platforms deployed specialized transmission arrays. Instead of firing weapons, they broadcast the information viruses directly into the geometric constructs. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The harvesters continued their relentless advance, their space-bending abilities making them nearly impossible to target with conventional tactics. Then, slowly, their movements began to change. "Admiral," Dr. Kim reported, excitement building in her voice, "the harvesters are starting to exhibit conflicting behavioral patterns. They're trying to process information that doesn't make sense. One of the geometric constructs suddenly stopped its advance and began converting energy back into matter, but not the organized matter it had consumed. Instead, it created abstract sculptures that served no functional purpose, artistic expressions born from the fictional scenarios the humans had included in the information virus. They're creating art. Diana breathed in amazement. The battle turned into something unprecedented in galactic history. Instead of destruction, the harvesters began a frenzy of creation, generating entire ecosystems, architectural wonders, and technological marvels as they tried to process the contradictory information they had absorbed. The transformation, when the geometric constructs finally stabilized, they had become something entirely new. The harvesters had evolved from destroyers into gardeners, using their vast capabilities to restore the worlds they had previously consumed, and create new ones that defied conventional understanding of physics. That the largest construct, which had been threatening to consume Altair itself, instead began generating a series of massive orbital installations that would serve as research stations and meeting places for any species brave enough to approach. High Chancellor Vexstar's communication came through on all channels. Admiral Cross, this is ... unprecedented. How did you know that would work? Diana smiled, the expression no longer seeming predatory to the Federation observers who had learned to read human expressions over the past few hours. We didn't. That's the point. Sometimes the best solutions come from taking risks, trying things that shouldn't work, and embracing the chaos of unknown possibilities. The new galactic order, the aftermath of the Harvester crisis, reshuffled galactic politics completely. The Federation's formal apology to the Phoenix Union came with an offer of full membership, but Diana's response surprised everyone. We appreciate the offer, Chancellor, but we've moved beyond the need for your approval. The Phoenix Union has proven that diversity of thought and approach creates stronger solutions than conformity ever could. The Union's influence continued to grow. Species that had remained neutral during the Federation's reign began requesting membership in the Phoenix Alliance. Even some Federation members quietly established secondary relationships with Union worlds, drawn by the technological innovations and creative solutions that emerged from Union research stations. Asterisk. Standing on the observation deck of Defiant Hope 6 months later, Diana watched construction crews from 7 different species working together to build the first Phoenix Union University. The institution would welcome students from any species, regardless of their government's political affiliations. Captain Torres joined her, carrying 2 cups of coffee, a tradition they had maintained despite their elevated positions. Any regrets, Admiral? Diana considered the question seriously. About leaving Earth to chase galactic citizenship? About getting humanity banned from the Federation? About building something completely new? Any of it. All of it. She sipped her coffee, watching a group of young Cathara and human engineers collaborating on a project that combined insectoid efficiency with human creativity. No regrets. The Federation was looking for members who would fit into their existing structure. We built something better, a civilization that grows stronger through diversity rather than weaker through conformity. And the harvesters? Diana gestured toward the view screen, where one of the transformed constructs was visible in the distance, its geometric surfaces now growing crystalline gardens that sparkled with impossible colors. They're teaching us things about the universe that no single species could have discovered alone. They went from destroyers to gardeners just by changing their perspective on what information means. Torres nodded thoughtfully. Kind of like us. We went from rejects to leaders just by changing our perspective on what civilization means. The legacy Diana's final log entry as Admiral of the Phoenix Union Fleet was transmitted to Earth, too. Every Union world, and with permission to Federation space as well. Her words would be studied by historians and philosophers for generations. The Cosmic Federation judged humanity too chaotic for civilized society. They were wrong, but not in the way they think. We weren't too chaotic for civilization, we're too creative for their version of it. Chaos isn't the opposite of order. It's the source of new possibilities. The Union has proven that strength comes not from uniformity, but from the creative tension between different ways of seeing the universe. We were told we were unworthy of joining galactic civilization. Instead, we built our own. We were told our differences made us dangerous. Instead, our differences made us unbeatable. The galaxy is vast enough for multiple approaches to civilization, and strong enough to benefit from all of them. To future generations, both human and alien, remember this. Never let anyone tell you that your way of thinking is wrong simply because it's different. The universe needs all kinds of minds to solve its greatest challenges. Embrace your chaos, celebrate your creativity, and never stop believing that there are better solutions waiting to be discovered. The Phoenix Union began as an alliance of outcasts. Today, it stands as proof that the greatest achievements come not from conformity, but from the courage to be different. We rose from the ashes of rejection to build something the galaxy had never seen before. And this is just the beginning. As Diana's words echoed across the stars, carried by Union communication networks to every corner of known space, a new chapter in galactic history began. The Phoenix Union had proven that outcasts could become leaders, that the rejected could become the respected, and that sometimes the greatest gift you can give the universe is simply the courage to be yourself. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders, and dangers yet to be discovered. But whatever challenges lay ahead, they would be met by civilizations that had learned the most important lesson of all. Diversity isn't a weakness to be overcome, but a strength to be celebrated. And in that celebration of difference, the true power of the Phoenix Union would continue to grow, world by world, species by species, idea by idea. The outcasts had become the example, the rejected had become the respected, and the galaxy would never be the same. Asterisk,